Okay, we last week we started a controversial conversation, and it has to do with the seizure of assets from people by police, by sheriffs, by whoever the authorities are, the taking of those assets and the keeping of those assets. And we heard last week from the Kyle Lovelace. Kyle, are you here?
He's outside.
Okay. Kyle is here, and he's introducing a bill to try to put some restrictions on what policemen can do as far as seizures and what happens to the money after they seize those assets. So today we have, from Canadian County, we have the sheriff. Stand up, Mr. Randy. This is the sheriff, and his undersheriff is Chris.
Chris West.
And these guys are on the opposite side of the conversation. So we've asked them to come back, and they're going to tell their story and give their side. Now here's what we're going to do. Just so everybody understands, we are going to control the conversation. I know I've been accused of that before, but we are going to control the conversation. And we do that by you raising your hand, and then I'll acknowledge you by bringing the microphone to you and letting you talk in the microphone. And we are taking questions only, okay? If you want to make a speech, you'll have to wait until after 1:30. But if you have questions concerning their side of the story, then we'll ask you to raise your hand. I'll bring the microphone to you. I'll also talk to them about controlling the conversation so that if you shout a question out to them, they're not going to answer it because I'm controlling the conversation, right? Okay, I know you don't like that. You like to just say what you want to. But that's the way we're going to do it. So everybody understands that, right? So if you're not acknowledged, please don't shout out in the room. I'm going to turn this over to Randy and Chris. You guys tell us your side of the story. Good.
Thank you. I appreciate your having let me come back this week and address what Senator Lovelace talked to you about last week, and that's Senate Bill 838. Senate Bill 838 effectively takes the funds from local law enforcement that actually is involved in the arresting of the individuals associated with those assets that's been seized, and it gives it to the state general fund. And first of all, I would like to point out that some of the disparaging things that the senator has said and made comments regarding law enforcement, and I felt like last week those comments were largely taken at face value and believed. I had one of the individuals in here last week say that we reminded them of law enforcement, reminded them of the IRS, and that's simply not the case. We're your friends. We have taken sworn oaths to uphold the Constitution, and we do on a daily basis uphold the Constitution. We protect your Fourth Amendment rights that the senator says that we're violating. The comment has been made several times that asset forfeitures are nothing more than a highway robbery out on the highway. That law enforcement can take your assets without any due process, violating the Fourth Amendment, searching your vehicle without probable cause, and seizing your property. And that's not the case. Every stop we make, we have probable cause to make that stop. After that stop has been made, we have probable cause. Most usually, they give us permission to search a vehicle. But if we believe that there's contraband in that vehicle, whether it be human trafficking, drugs, money from illegal or criminal activity, then we search the vehicle either after given permission by the owner of the vehicle, or after running a dog around it and the dog hitting on the vehicle saying that there's drugs in the vehicle. those are the only times that we search a vehicle, and both times they have probable cause to do so. Now, if we find contraband in that vehicle, we take and seize that contraband for one of two reasons: evidentiary purposes, to use as evidence, or for safekeeping, like a large sum of money, until it goes to court. Okay, once the assets are seized, it's turned over to the district attorney's office, the same as any other illegal activity or crime that we've taken and uncovered or investigated and filed charges to prosecute. That the senator has made on more than one occasion the comment that we take these assets without any due process. Well, we don't. We take, once we take the assets, like I said, it goes to the DA's office, and these assets are kept for safekeeping and evidentiary purposes. Then it goes to court, the same as any other case would, and if the people are found innocent of illegal activity, the assets are returned. If the people are found guilty by a jury of their peers or by the judge, and let me quote what my district judge has said, and you're welcome to call him. It's Judge Gary Miller. He's the judge, the district judge of Canadian County, and he said that in terms of forfeiting these assets, law enforcement doesn't forfeit those assets. He forfeits those assets. Every asset that's forfeited because of due process is forfeited by a judge. In our case, it's the district judge, Gary Miller. So there you have it. We're not violating your Fourth Amendment rights. We search and seize according to probable cause. The people get their due process, and it's not taken forfeited by law enforcement. As the senator has said, we're the judge and the jury out on the side of the road. He either doesn't understand what he's talking about, or he's purposely misleading or misstating the truth. I don't know. I'm not privy to which it is, but it's simply not true what the senator says, that we're the judge and the jury on the side of the road, because they get their day in court the same as any other suspect does. Last week, I felt like that after he spoke, a lot of you bought into it, and I don't mind telling you, it physically made me feel ill to see people of your stature, salt of the earth people, the types of people that whom I believe in and creates and normally supports law enforcement, buy into what the senator's saying. Law enforcement's not your enemy. I would give my life to constitutional rights, in spite of what the senator would have you to believe. I don't know how many senators or representatives or legislatures you've ever seen out on the side of the road or come to your house at night willing to give their life for you, but I would. I took an oath when I was 17 years old and went in the Marine Corps to protect your constitutional rights and to defend the Constitution. I took another one as a police officer. I took another one as a deputy sheriff. I took another one as a sheriff. I took another one as special deputy U.S. Marshal. I took another one as OSBI agent. I can tell you right now, law enforcement is your friend. Senator Lovelace brought up Ronald Reagan, whom I believe is the best president I've ever had in my lifetime and probably ever will. He said about law enforcement. He drew a circle with a blue marker. He drew a circle, and he said society is in this circle. Chaos is in the outside of the circle. Ronald Reagan said the only thing that protects society from total chaos is this thin blue line. And ladies and gentlemen, he said it was law enforcement. Ever since last August, in Ferguson, Missouri, when a young man got into a patrol car and about beat a police officer half to death, the police officer wound up using deadly force on him and killing him, which he should have, and he did, and I completely agree with what he did. He's lost his job, and he's lost, the chief lost his job. Ever since that point in time, law enforcement across this nation has been getting criticized by a group, by what I would like to say is the majority, the minority of this, and would like to believe the minority of this country, criticizing law enforcement, saying we're overstepping our bounds and our authority, and that we're racists, and saying all other kinds of vile things about law enforcement. And this is the bandwagon I feel like the senator has gotten on to. What he's saying about it is simply not true. The only thing his bill does that you don't already have, and I'm talking about your Fourth Amendment rights, your Fifth Amendment rights, your the due process. The only thing his bill offers that is different than what you already have out there is where the money goes to. The money seized currently goes to the agents, the arresting agency, and those involved in prosecuting it, the district attorney, and those types of agencies that are involved in the seizure of that asset. If his bill goes through, those monies will go to the state general fund. The monies that agencies like Canadian County Sheriff's Office funds their drug programs with. And I can tell you right now, I couldn't afford to fund the drug program, the CID program that we currently have going without those funds. I just couldn't do it. It would be financially impossible. We balance our budget every year at Canadian County Sheriff's Office. The state last year had a $600 million shortfall in their budget. This bill is about money, in my opinion. Who gets the money from these cartel shipments that we currently take from the drug cartels, and use that same money to fight them with, and to fight the war on drugs, as well as other public safety programs. But that's what this bill it does. It takes the money from the prosecuting and arresting agency, and it gives it to the state general fund. Somehow or another, they believe that is going to make everything okay if the state gets the money, and it's not going to help anybody.